Gaura Premanandi. So welcome to today's class on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We'll start with the CC mantra. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Haribo. So today we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Madhya Lila, Chapter 9, starting from text 80. Oh, pull it up on your devices if you have. Kaverite snanakari deki ranganata. Stuti pranati kari manila kritarta. I think I'll just, it's Madhya 980. Yeah. Should we do repetition of the verse or just? Okay. Kavereti snanakari deki ranganata. Stuti pranati kari manila kritarta. Please chat. Kavereti snanakari deki ranganata. Stuti pranati kari manila kritarta. Kavereti snanakari deki ranganata. Stuti pranati kari manila kritarta. One more. Kavereti snanakari deki ranganata. Stuti pranati kari manila kritarta. So let's do the word for word all together. Kavereti, in the river known as Kaveri. Snanakari, after bathing. Deki, visiting. Ranganatha, the temple of Ranganath. Stuti, prayers. Pranati, obeisances. Kari, offering. Manila, thought himself. Krita arta, very successful. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. After bathing in the river Kaveri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the temple of Ranganath and offered his ardent prayers and obeisances. Thus he felt himself successful. So this is continuing the chapter on Lord Chaitanya's travels to the holy places. So now we're going to hear a little bit about what happened, more of the pastimes of the Lord as he was visiting Sri Rangam, where he stays for considerable time because he arrives at Sri Rangam at the beginning of the 4 months of Chaturmasya, which is the monsoon season. So generally in those days, sannyasis would travel by foot. And so it was difficult when it was raining all the time. And so generally for that 4 months of the monsoon season, they would stay in one place and try to plan their itinerary so that they landed up at a really nice holy place and a nice place to stay. So he stays at Sri Rangam, where there's a famous temple of Lord Ranganath. So he goes to the temple, and so we're going to continue. Text 81. Prema Veshe Kaila. We'll just, so these ones, we can do in unison. I'll just do the verse once and go to the translation. So if you have it there, please sing along. Prema Veshe Kaila Bahuta Gananartana Deki Chamatkara Haila Sabaloke Ramana. In the temple of Ranganath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted and danced in ecstatic love of Godhead. Seeing his performance, everyone was struck with wonder. Just imagine you go to the temple for darshan, and then there's Lord Chaitanya chanting and dancing. Whoa. Text 82. Shri Vaishnava Eka Vyenkata Bhatta Nama Prabhure Nimantrana Kaila Kariya Samana. A Vaishnava known as Venkata Bhatta then invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home with great respect. So this was a common happening, that people would see Lord Chaitanya in the temple and they would know, wow, this is not only is he a sannyasi, but this is a very special sannyasi. This is a great personality. And they would know that just by seeing him, seeing his characteristics, his behavior, expressions, his ecstatic symptoms. And then they would want to get more of his association, so they would try to invite him over for lunch to get to know him better. So this happened with this Brahmin named Venkatabhata. Oh, purport. Sri Venkatabhata was a Vaishnava Brahmana and an inhabitant of Sri Ranga Kshetra. He belonged to the disciplic succession of Sri Ramanujacharya. Sri Ranga is one of the places of pilgrimage in the province of Tamil Nadu. The inhabitants of that province do not retain the name Venkata. It is therefore supposed that Venkatabhata did not belong to that province, although he may have been residing there for a very long time. Venkatabhata was in a branch of the Ramanuja Sampradaya known as Bada Gala I. He had a brother in the Ramanuja Sampradaya known as Shripad Prabodhananda Saraswati. The son of Venkatabhata was later known in the Gaudiya Sampradaya as Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and he established the Radha Raman temple in Vrindavan. More information about him may be found in a book known as the Bhakti Ratnakara by Narahari Chakravarti. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So I'll just do the invocations now, and then we'll continue. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I was thinking that I could speak about Venkatabhata and his son Gopal Bhatta, who became Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. But I was looking ahead here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and this chapter unfolds, and it goes into quite a detailed description of pastimes of Lord Chaitanya with Venkatabhata and Gopal, his son Gopal. So what I want to do is continue here a little bit and get to a little section, another section, and then I'll leave elaboration on this purport to future speakers. Otherwise, if I say it all now, you won't hear something, you'll be hearing the same thing again and again. So let's go ahead here. Text 83. Nijjagare lana kaila pada prakshalana sejala lana kaya sevamsi bhakshana. Sri Venkatabhata took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home. After he washed the Lord's feet, all the members of his family drank the water. This was the custom that when a sannyasi came, you would wash his feet and put some water on your head and take some sips of it too. Bhiksha karana kichu kaila nivedana chaturmasya asi prabhu haila upasana. After offering lunch to the Lord, Venkatabhata submitted that the period of chaturmasya had already arrived. So now we can know what's coming. Chaturmasya kripa kori raha mora gare Krishna kata kahi kripaya udhara amare. Venkatabhata said, "Please be merciful to me and stay at my house during Chaturmasya. Speak about Lord Krishna's pastimes and kindly deliver me by your mercy." So it's just like whenever we have an exalted guest here in Dallas, where he's like, "Please stay longer. We want them to stay as long as possible and go on doing programs, giving classes, leading kirtans, and we want to, squeeze the nectar out of them because these great devotees are like so sweet. They're like gulab jamins, and you just want to get the sweet syrup of Krishna Katha and all their ecstatic realizations from many years of practicing Krishna consciousness. You just want to get that juice more and more because that's the elixir that gives us, that enlivens us in our spiritual lives. So Venkatabhata very intelligently, Chaturmasya is coming, it's going to be raining, you're not going to be able to go anywhere, you might get stuck at a place that's not so pleasant, but this is the perfect place. Please stay in my home. I'm your servant. And while you're here, you can speak about Krishna Katha. So let's see what happens. Text 86. Tanragare rahila prabhu Krishna Katha rase Vata sange gonaila suke charimase. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained at the house of Venkatabhata for 4 continuous months. The Lord passed his days in great happiness, enjoying the transcendental mellow of discussing Lord Krishna's pastimes. Imagine, Lord Chaitanya is none other than Krishna himself in his most merciful form. And imagine, it's like Krishna's like living in your guest room for 4 months. And just every day, just there, eating, you're cooking for him, you're serving him, he's taking prasadam, he's like appreciating, and then he's just relaxing and sitting back there and, speaking about Krishna, like every day for 4 months. Just imagine how much nectar, how much mercy, how ecstatic that would be. So this is you can see that Venkatabhata is a very great soul, great personality. He's not an ordinary Brahmin, he's actually an eternal associate of the Lord. And as we see also his brother, also Srila Prabodhananda Sarasvati, he's also an eternal associate of the Lord, as is his son, Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So these are all very, very great personalities. Text 87. Kavereti snanakari Sri Ranga Darshana Pratidina Prema Veshe Karena Nartana. While there, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his bath in the river Kaveri and visited the temple of Sri Ranga. Every day, the Lord also danced in ecstasy. This was Lord Chaitanya's, he had his daily routine, no matter where he was, kind of like Srila Prabhupada. He would travel all over the world and staying at different temples in different situations, but he had his daily routine that he would maintain no matter where he was. So Lord Chaitanya, he also had his daily routine that he would get up, he would go bathe in the river, and actually he would bathe 3 times a day in the river, and he would always, wherever he was, he would always go to the temple every day and take darshan. That was, so we see in a lot of his travels to the holy places in this chapter, he's getting up He's bathing in this sacred body of water, and then he's going to take darshan at the temple, and in the temple he'll be chanting and dancing in ecstasy. So that's the same program that Prabhupada gave us, right? We wake up, we take bath in the morning, get dressed, and come to the temple and see the deity, pay obeisances, and chant and dance in ecstasy. So we're following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya's example. And this is what it means to be a Gaudiya Vaishnava, a Vaishnava, a worshipper of Lord Krishna, in the line of Lord Chaitanya. This is our program. Wake up, come and chant and dance in ecstasy in front of the deity. Text 88. Sundaryadi prema vesha deki sarvaloka deki bare aise deki kande dukkha shoka. The beauty of Lord Chaitanya's body and his ecstatic love of God were witnessed by everyone. Many people used to come see him, and as soon as they saw him, all their unhappiness and distress vanished. So similarly, like when we come before the deities here, beautiful Shri Shri Radhakala Chanji, Gornitai, Jagannath Bali Subhadra, it's like all your distress vanishes, right? They're so beautiful. That's what it says here. Seeing his beauty and his ecstatic love. So you see the beautiful deities, it's like, wow, everything's all right in the universe, right? All the troubles just melt away because such a beautiful Lord, and he's always smiling. Radharani's always got her merciful right hand up, giving benedictions, bestowing blessings upon everyone who comes to take darshan of her. And and they're the supreme controllers. So, you know, if Radhakala Chanji are in control, then it's all good. Text 89. Laksha laksha loka aila nana desha haite sabe Krishna nama kahe prabhuke dekite. Many hundreds of thousands of people from various countries came to see the Lord, and after seeing him, they all chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So this was Lord Chaitanya's mission, was to propagate the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So whoever met him, and it says laksha, lakhs and lakhs, many. So 1 lakh is 100,000. So hundreds and thousands of people would come every day to see him because he was the Lord. He was this great personality. And whoever would see him, he would ask, please chant Hare Krishna. And then they would start chanting Hare Krishna. Text 90. Krishna nama vina kehad nahi kahe ara sabe Krishna bhakta haila loke chamatkara. Indeed, they did not chant anything but the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and all of them became Lord Krishna's devotees. Thus the general populace was astonished. So not only would they chant Hare Krishna, but whatever their persuasion was, whatever their, previous spiritual path was, they would just become Krishna Bhaktas. Krishna Bhakta Haila. Yeah. And it was very astonishing, this transformation, the transformative effect that Lord Chaitanya had on everybody who saw him, everybody who met him. They would just see him, chant Hare Krishna, become ecstatic, and devote their lives to Krishna. So this is the power of pure devotion. Of course, Lord Chaitanya is the Lord, but he can also give that empowerment to his followers. You see that devotees like Srila Prabhupada, pure devotees of Lord Chaitanya, traveled all over the world, and whoever would see Srila Prabhupada would also start chanting Hare Krishna and become a devotee of Krishna. Maybe not everyone who saw him, but many. They would be influenced somehow or other. Their hearts would be touched. And so, that empowerment is coming down through our disciplic succession. And if we, practice purely and sincerely and pray for that empowerment, then we can also become via mediums for the Lord's mercy. And we can also influence others to chant Hare Krishna and become Krishna Bhaktas, become devotees of Lord Krishna. So there in Ranga, and we'll hear more about this in upcoming verses in future classes, is that most of the inhabitants of Sri Ranga, they were in the Ramanuja Sampradaya, which they were worshippers of Lakshmi Narayan. The Sri Sampradaya is, they mainly worship Lakshmi Narayan. But due to the influence of Lord Chaitanya, oh shoot, why does that always happen when I get lost? And it takes me a long time to answer my phone because of the settings. It was about Lord Chaitanya, so perfect. It was about how Lord Chaitanya's karuna, so merciful, the savior of the fallen. Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, so most of the inhabitants of Sri Rangam, including Venkatabhatta and his family, were worshippers of Lakshmi Narayan, but they all became devotees of Krishna by Lord Chaitanya's influence. Okay, let's go to text 91. Sri Ranga Kshetre Vaishe Yata Vaishnava Brahmana Eka Dina Sabe Kaila Nimantrana. All the Vaishnava Brahmins residing in Sri Ranga Kshetra invited the Lord to their homes. Indeed, he had an invitation every day. So yeah, everybody who saw Lord Chaitanya, they also wanted to get his personal association and get the chance to serve him. So Lord Chaitanya, he had to schedule his lunch dates every day with different at someone else's home. Text 92. Eka dine chatur masya purna haila kataka brahmana bhiksha dite na paila. Each day the Lord was invited by a different Brahmin, but some of the Brahmins did not get the opportunity to offer him lunch because the period of Chaturmasya came to an end. There must have been a lot of Brahmins there, because 4 months, that's 120 days. Text 93. Sikshachera he eka Vaishnava Brahmana devalai asikare gita avartana. So now we're going to get this nice little vignette about a particular Brahmin. In the holy place of Sri Ranga Kshetra, a Brahmin Vaishnava used to visit the temple daily and recite the entire text of the Bhagavad Gita. Ashtadasha dhyaya pade ananda aveshe ashuddha padena loka kare upahase. The Brahmana regularly read the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita in great transcendental ecstasy, but because he could not pronounce the words correctly, people used to joke about him. Keha hase, keha ninde, taha nahi mane, avishta hana gita pade anandita mane. Due to his incorrect pronunciation, people sometimes criticized him and laughed at him. But he did not care. He was full of ecstasy due to reading the Bhagavad Gita and was personally very happy. So yeah, keha hase means someone would laugh at him. Keha ninde, someone would offend him. Ninda means offense, criticism. But taha nahi mane, it didn't affect his mind. It didn't bother him at all. He was just like, whatever, that's their problem, not mine. So text 96. Ulakashu kampa sveda yavat patana deki anandita haila mahaprabhuda mana. While reading the book, the Brahmin experienced transcendental bodily transformations. The hairs on his body stood on end, tears welled up in his eyes, and his body trembled and perspired as he read. Seeing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy. So he was becoming so ecstatic just reading the Bhagavad Gita, and he couldn't even read it properly. But he was having all these ecstatic symptoms. So when you read something or hear something or you're chanting and you're getting so absorbed in it, then it changes the heart. Heart actually starts to melt. And then that, because these subtle, like we know how our emotions affect our body. You know, like if you're very angry, then your eyes will get red, your lips will start trembling. Or if you're very happy, then you'll smile and you'll laugh and you'll start dancing. And so whatever you're feeling inside, that manifests in different ways in the body, through different subtle and gross manifestations in the body. So these when someone is when the heart is touched with love for Krishna, when the heart is moved or melted, by love for Krishna, then that also produces specific bodily transformations. And there's actually a whole science about this. And there are 8 symptoms of ecstasy in the body, like hair standing on end and tears flowing from the eyes, trembling in the body, perspiring, like that, becoming stunned, and even fainting. So Lord Chaitanya, he knows this science. And so when he sees the Brahmin reading Bhagavad Gita and exhibiting these ecstatic symptoms of love for Krishna, then he appreciates. He can appreciate, wow, this person has actual love. This person is experiencing emotion, real, like genuine spiritual emotion while he reads the Bhagavad Gita. So he's very impressed. Purport. Although the Brahmin could not pronounce the words very well due to illiteracy, so here we see that not only was he not very good at Sanskrit pronunciation, but he was illiterate. He literally did not know what he was reading. He was just, kind of fumbling through some words. He still experienced ecstatic symptoms while reading the Bhagavad Gita. So that's pretty amazing, because if you're illiterate, you don't even know what you're saying, right? You can just be reading and just if you're reading another language, then, like if you're reading the Bengali here, sometimes we're like not sure how to pronounce the words, and most of the words we don't know what they mean. So if you would just read the Bengali, maybe you wouldn't get much out of it, right? So in the same way, he's just reading some words and struggling to pronounce them and not even sure what they mean, but somehow he's still experiencing ecstatic symptoms while reading the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to observe these symptoms, and this indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased by devotion, not by erudite scholarship. Even though the words were imperfectly pronounced, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna himself, did not think this very serious. Rather, the Lord was pleased by the bhav, devotion. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11, this is confirmed. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishloka abadhavatyapi namanyanantasya yashon kitani yat shinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhava. On the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, forms, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words directed towards bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, are heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. The purport to this verse may be considered for further information on this subject. So, this verse is about how one may imperfectly compose transcendental literature about the names, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Lord, and one may also imperfectly pronounce those literatures, the verses of those literatures. One may imperfectly speak on those literatures, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're doing it with devotion. Right? So if you want to recite a verse or read, even if you're not a very good reader, doesn't matter. Just do it with devotion. If you want to speak on a verse, if you want to, read and give a class on a verse from Bhagavad Gita or section from Srimad Bhagavatam or something, but you're thinking, oh, I don't have a perfect understanding of the philosophy, maybe I'm going to make a mistake. If you have devotion and you're sincere, then it's going to turn out all right. Because what's going to affect the audience is not your perfect Sanskrit pronunciation, it's not your scholarship, but it's your love, it's your devotion, it's your sincere desire to help others have an experience of Krishna. And that's what will act. That's the active ingredient in the medicine, right? It's like, in every medicine, there's like the active ingredient that actually cures your disease, and then there's so many other things, right? There's like fillers, and there's like, what do you call those things? Anyways, there's like all kinds of other things in there that help the substrates, emulsifiers and whatever, and there might, preservatives and colors, there might be some sweeteners and all those other things that kind of make it that make it, become a tablet form or a capsule form anyways, you got the point. Those things don't really matter. But what matters is that the active ingredient is there, and the active ingredient is powerful, is potent. All these other things are kind of like embellishments. If you can pronounce the Sanskrit beautifully, if you can, if you're a very eloquent speaker, if you can bring in texts and things from all other different scriptures, those all make it beautiful, and they may make it better and attractive to different kinds of people. But if the essence is not there, then all those things are useless. Somebody can be a great speaker, perfect Sanskrit scholar, but if they don't have devotion for Krishna, the whole thing is just empty. It's like empty capsule. It's like all the emulsifiers and preservatives and sweeteners, but the active ingredient is missing. It's not going to cure the disease. It's not going to change the heart. It's not going to enliven you in Krishna consciousness. So this is in everything that we do, right? Every offering that we make, whether it's an offering of giving a class, whether it's an offering of doing a particular service, whether it's a food offering, the main thing is the bhakti, right? That's what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhakta prayachati tadaham bhakti uparitam ashnami prayatatmanaha. That if one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a fruit, a flower, a water, then I'll accept it. But it has to be done with love and devotion. So someone can be a great cook, and they can be using the best ingredients, fresh, organic, straight from the farm, and, cooked with, the perfect spices, using the best recipes, and the cook can be like experienced cook with a PhD in culinary science and, been cooking for like 50 years and but if they're not a devotee, Krishna's going to look at that offering and he's going to be like, thanks, but no thanks. So, yeah, the main thing is the devotion. Whereas if a devotee is just kind of like, I'm really sorry, Krishna, I don't have a lot of money. You have to make do with, this ingredients, and this is the best that I can offer you, and I'm not a great cook, but I'm really trying my best because I really want to please you, and you're very dear to me, and I'm so grateful for all the ways that you help me in my life, and I just want to become closer to you, and I want to have a loving relationship with you, and they say that the way to a person's heart is through the stomach, so I really want to feed you. So please accept this offering that I've tried to prepare with the utmost devotion, and at least I've been clean and I've been prayerful and I've been praying to Srimati Radharani. Please accept it. Please. And I offer to my guru first because I know I'm totally unqualified, but my guru is so dear to you, and if my guru, if it comes from the hand of my guru, I'm sure you accept it. So if we have that mood of making a loving, even if we're not a great cook, even if we couldn't, procure the finest ingredients, Krishna's he's gonna accept it. Actually, there's one interesting pastime that, was it Vidura? Lord Krishna this was during the time of Krishna when he was on the planet, and he was going to Hastinapur, and this was right before the Battle of Kurukshetra. So Duryodhana, he was kind of like standing in as the king of Hastinapur at that time, and he was trying to get Krishna's favor, just so he could use him for his diplomatic purposes. He's not a devotee of Krishna, but he's just very diplomatic. So he thought, well, if I can get Krishna to come and have lunch at my place, then, I'm going to get, some political advantage. So he had his cooks prepare the finest feast to try to attract Krishna to come over. Because sometimes, people, if you find out there's a feast and it's going to be good, like you'll go out of your way to go. And then, so he's saying, let me attract Krishna by making so he cooks this huge, he has his like the best cooks in his, his kingdom get together and make this feast. And then he invites Krishna, and Krishna, he goes there and he's kind of like, I'm not really hungry. I just ate. I'm good. And he doesn't even stay. He goes. And then he goes to the place of his devotee Vidura. So Vidura, he's living there with his wife, and Krishna just shows up. He didn't even know Krishna was coming. He hadn't prepared anything. And then he tells his wife, he's like, Krishna just showed up. We've got to offer him something. We have to give him something. She's like, what can I do? We don't have anything. She's like, we've got to have something. What's there in the kitchen? She's like, all I have are these bananas. He's like, all right, that's fine. Bananas are good. Come, bring the bananas. So she washes the bananas and she puts them on a nice plate and brings them out. So Vidura, he's offering the bananas to Krishna, but he's just so in love with Krishna. He's so enamored by Krishna. He's just looking at Krishna and his heart's melting with devotion and tears are streaming from his eyes. He's like swooning, he's very out of love for Krishna, and he's like practically delirious, and he's just picking up the bananas and he's peeling them. He's looking at Krishna. He's barely even seeing the banana. And then he's like, and he's like throwing the banana aside and giving Krishna the peel because he's so like not even aware of what he's doing. He's offering him the banana peel, and Krishna's eating the banana peel. And Krishna knows he's eating a banana peel, but it's offered with so much love. He can't say no, because it's the love. He can't reject the love. And that banana peel is not a banana peel. It's the representation of his devotee's love for him, so he has to accept it. So there's just a very extreme example of how Krishna is just like really bowled over by devotees' love. So it's not about the externals, it's about the situation of one's heart. So that's what bhakti yoga is. It's the yoga of love. It's the process which awakens love, nurtures love, and shares that love and devotion with others. So that's what we come together to try to do, is to, churn the butter, churn the nectar of devotion with each other. And so that's what this Brahmin here is feeling. And when Lord Chaitanya sees that this illiterate Brahmin is experiencing love, then he's attracted. Then he goes over to that person, right? He doesn't have time to receive the invitations for all the Brahmins, but he has time for this Brahmin. Why? Because he sees that there's love. He makes time, and he goes over there, and he has a conversation with him. So let's see what he says here. Text 97. Mahaprabhu Puchila Tanre Shuna Mahashaya Kon Arta Jani Tomara Eta Sukhahaya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Brahmana, my dear sir, why are you in such ecstatic love? Which portion of the Bhagavad Gita gives you such transcendental pleasure? So what a sweet question, right? Because Lord Chaitanya, he's Krishna, but he's in the form of a devotee. So just imagine, he's seeing this Brahman, he's like, one, as a devotee, he's thinking, wow, I want to feel what he's feeling, right? You see a devotee like in ecstasy, you're like, I want to feel what they're feeling. See a devotee who's really getting ecstatic about reading something? Oh, what are you reading? I want to know. What is that section that gives you so much happiness? So as a devotee, he's attracted to knowing what is that portion. And then also, because he's Krishna, the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, he's like, what is that section of what I said that really enlivens you? This is the Bhagavad Gita is Krishna's own words. So he's like, what is that specific, lines that, touch your heart so much? It's like if you give a class, somebody says, oh, that was such a great class. And the speaker's like, which part did you like? Because that informs, like, now I know, like, what enthused the devotees. Because sometimes you don't know. You say many things and you're not sure, like, what was actually the best part for someone. Text 98. Vipra kahe murka ami shabdarta najani shudha gita pariguru agyamani. The Brahmana replied, I am illiterate, and therefore do not know the meaning of the words. Sometimes I read the Bhagavad Gita correctly, and sometimes incorrectly, but in any case, I am doing this in compliance with the orders of my spiritual master. So here he admits to Lord Chaitanya, actually, I don't have a clue what I'm reading. I couldn't tell you what portion of the Bhagavad Gita is giving me pleasure because I don't even know what it's about. But I'm just reading this because my spiritual master instructed me to read the Bhagavad Gita every day. So let's read the purport. This is a good example of a person who had become so successful that he was able to capture the attention of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even while reading the Bhagavad Gita incorrectly. His spiritual activities did not depend on material things such as correct pronunciation. Rather, his success depended on strictly following the instructions of his spiritual master. Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tata guru tasyaite katita yarta prakashante mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. From Svetashvatara Upanishad 6.23. Actually, the meaning of the words of the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam are revealed to one strictly following the orders of the spiritual master. They are revealed to one who has equal faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, being faithful to both Krishna and the spiritual master is the secret of success in spiritual life. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is so interesting, right? That he wasn't able to actually read the Bhagavad Gita. He had no idea what he was reading in the material sense. But because he had firm faith in the order of his spiritual master, and he was faithfully following that order of his spiritual master, then all the meanings, all the most sublime transcendental meanings of the Bhagavad Gita were being revealed to his heart, revealed to him from within his heart. So this is the potency of following the instruction of the spiritual master. That even if we're incapable, even if we feel ourselves incapable to follow the order, incapable to do what the spiritual master is asking us to do, if we just do it anyway, if we just try, just say, all right, Guru Maharaj, I'm going to try my best. If we just roll up our sleeves and try whatever it is, then the ability is going to come. So that's what they say, is that with the instruction of the spiritual master comes the ability to do it, to carry out the order. So we have to have faith in that the Lord has invested potency within the order of the spiritual master. So when we get the order, we also get the potency to carry out the order. So we should never think ourselves unqualified, and we should never think that, oh, my guru has given me a bad instruction, or he doesn't know me. If he knew how incompetent I was, he would never ask me to do such a thing. Are you sure, Guru Maharaj? Of course, we can put our doubts forward, and say, I'm not sure, maybe can you give me some pointers on how to actually execute this or something. But we shouldn't reject the order of the spiritual master thinking it unfit, or thinking that we are unfit for it. But we should just try our best and have faith, because after all, the spiritual master is the representation of the Lord, and the Lord is omniscient. Krishna knows us better than we know ourselves, and he's also informing from within the heart. The Lord informs the spiritual master about what is the right way. Like just the other day, on the disappearance day of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, we were hearing about how, from the disciples of Tamal Krishna Maharaj, how Tamal Krishna Maharaj was able to hear their prayers and know what was in their letters even before he read the letters, and and respond to those things before the actual communication in the before the letter arrived, before he was spoken to by the disciple. Just somehow mystically he knew. And how did he know? Because Krishna's in the heart, and Krishna knows what's in the disciple's heart. And so it's kind of like there's this transmission service, this like communication service, that the same Krishna that's in the disciple's heart is also in the heart of the guru. And so Krishna knows what's in the disciple's heart, and he can communicate that to the guru, and inspire the guru to say the right thing, to say exactly what the disciple needs to hear. And that's how this whole thing takes place. It takes place by the mercy of Krishna. That Krishna maintains the disciplic succession. He supports the guru in supporting the disciple. And so that's why this happens. Yasya Deve Parabhaktir, that one who has bhakti, one who has faith and devotion for both the Lord and the spiritual master, and who has faith in this phenomenon by which the guru becomes empowered by the Lord, then to that person all spiritual truths become revealed. Right? Prakashante. Prakash means illumination. Everything becomes illumined by the grace of the Lord within the heart of the disciple. So, yeah, so we don't have to be scholars. We don't have to be, you know, even, of course, we should try to get, you know, training for particular services that we've been asked to do, right? Like if a spiritual master asks you to cook, you should try to, you know, approach someone who knows how to cook and get some lessons. If you're asked to be a leader, then try to get some kind of leadership training. You know, maybe shadow really good, you know, spiritual leaders for some time to see how they manage things, or whatever, you know, whatever we're asked to do. If you're asked to teach children, then, you know, take some education classes, be assistant teacher for a, you know, expert teacher for some time to learn, get the training that we need, but also have the faith that Krishna helps. Krishna helps from within. He gives intelligence, he gives knowledge, he gives ability, and everything is possible. Like Prabhupada said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. Yeah, this is a good example of that when there was this marathon, Prabhupada asked them to produce the whole, many volumes, what is it, like 12 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita in 2 months. And the devotee said, Prabhupada, that's impossible. And he didn't just say impossible, he actually like thought it through. He was thinking, okay, we have this many devotees, we have this facility, we have this, you know, equipment for publishing that we've been working with. We've been producing 1 book every 6 months. And now Prabhupada wants us to produce 12 books in 2 months. He was like, impossible. And at that point, Prabhupada turned around and he had his walking stick. He turned around, they were on a morning walk. They were walking along the beach, I think, somewhere. So they're out on a walk, and devotees were walking behind and having this conversation. And when the devotee said impossible, Prabhupada stopped, he turned around, planted his walking stick in the ground, and he said, impossible is a word in the fool's dictionary. And so when he said that, the disciples were like, oh my God, he's serious. Like, this is what we have to do. And then they immediately started thinking, okay, under the present scenario, it's not going to be possible, but we need to change the scenario. We need to get all the devotees in one place. We need to, you know, upgrade the equipment. We need to like work round the clock 24/7. And they just like kicked off this marathon. And they did it. They actually did it. And we have the books here to prove it. So, yeah, it just goes to show that when one has faith in the order, you might get an instruction and think, oh my God, I can't do that. This is impossible for me. But if we have faith that with the order of the spiritual master it's possible, then we can find a way to make it possible and find a way to make it happen. And those devotees who are you know, doing the typesetting, the transcribing, and the typesetting, and the, you know, all the things. And they didn't even have like digital technology back then. This was back in the 70s. They were doing it. Yeah, there was one friend of mine, Ragatmika Mataji she lives in Alachua now, and she was a typist. So she was one of the people that was like listening to Prabhupada's purport, like his dictations of the purports, because Prabhupada didn't write the books. He like read the verses and he spoke the translations, and he spoke the purports, and they were recorded and like on tape, and then they would listen to the recordings and type. So she was a fast typist, and they asked her to, you know, so she was like one of the key people that they were depending on to make this happen. And she was literally working like 22 hours a day or maybe 20, and 2 hours was her 16 rounds, 2 hours of sleep, and 20 hours of just typing, and you know, for 2 months. She was, and Prabhupada, the deal that was made between Rameshwara Prabhu, who was heading up this thing, and Srila Prabhupada, was that Rameshwara Prabhu said, okay, Prabhupada, we can do this if you stay with us. You need to stay with us the whole 2 months. Prabhupada said, okay. So he stayed there. He was like there every day to like, you know, fuel them on. And one day Rameshwara Prabhu Prabhupada was walking through the workshop where everybody was like, you know, frantically doing the typing and everything. And the artists were painting. The artists had to paint like all the paintings and things that are in these books. They were also done in such a short time. And usually like one painting, you know, it takes for an artist to paint a painting, you know, an original artwork by an artist, that takes some time. So they were also doing like around the clock art. Anyway, so Ragatmika, she was like typing, and Prabhupada was going around to the different departments, and then Rameshwara said, and this this devotee here, Ragatmika, she just types for 20 hours a day, nonstop. She barely eats. She practically just like opens her mouth and somebody throws some prasadam in there and she keeps chewing while she's typing, like that, you know. and, and then Prabhupada looked at her and he was so pleased. He was like glowing, you know. He was like oceanic smile, and he said, she's working on spiritual energy. Like, this is not, he said this is not possible for a human being in a material body, what she's doing. He's like, she's working on spiritual energy. She's running on spiritual energy. So yeah, she remembers that. She's like, she likes to tell that story. So yeah, it just shows how we can be empowered. It's there. And like this Brahmin. So I was going to finish this, but it goes on. To stay tuned for next Sunday to hear what happens with the Brahmin. Okay, so we'll stop there and open up for any questions or comments, reflections. Yes, Mother Kunti.
Thank you so much. Mother Ragatmika to this day is extremely ecstatic, totally focused. And if anybody says anything about Chaitanya Charitamrita that isn't quite correct, she knows verse and purport. she has memorized the whole book, all of it. And same with Srimad Bhagavatam. Mm-hmm. She's oceanic, beautiful.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite devotees. I think she's still running on spiritual energy from that day.
It's a fact.
Thank you for class, Mother Prabhupada Priya.
Hare Krishna.
So there was a point where, I guess, increase our faith. There was the point where, I have to pull it up. On our, They also reveal to one who has equal faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, being faithful to both Krishna and spiritual master is the secret of success in spiritual life. So, what can we do to to increase our faith in very constructive steps?
What can we do to increase our faith in the spiritual master? What did you actually say?
I mean, both Krishna and spiritual master is the secret of success in spiritual life. So, what can we do?
How to increase our faith in both of them?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we can increase our faith. The best way there's a couple of ways. One is by associating with devotees who have a lot of faith and sort of getting swept up in their faith. Right? Because if we see somebody who's very, very faithful, who doesn't hesitate, who just is all in, is just like totally sure that by chanting Hare Krishna, by following the orders of my Guru, by following this process of bhakti, everything in my life is going to be fulfilled. I don't have to do anything else. I'm going to achieve the supreme destination. And they're just really 100% convinced, then that can also affect us, right? Their faith can rub off on us. Yeah. So that's one way, is by association. And then another way is by actually just following, doing the experiment. Yeah, I always give this example that, if you're in a city and you're trying to get somewhere, you're trying to find the Hare Krishna temple in this new city, and you don't know your way around at all, and you don't have your GPS or you don't have a map, you have no clue like how to get there, then, because this is what we used to do in the old days before anybody had GPSs, we would like see someone walking down the street, we'd pull over and ask them like, can you help me get, I need to get to this place. Are you a local? Do you know your way around town? Say, yes, I'm trying to get to this place. Can you give me directions, right? Anyone ever done that? Nobody does that anymore nowadays because everyone's too scared to talk to people. Okay, good. I just remember doing that all the time when I was a kid. My dad was always pulling over. In India, you have to do it because there's no internet anywhere. So you have to do it. So, so then the person, they tell you, so just keep going down here this road for another mile. You're going to come to a traffic light. Turn right. You'll see there's a school on your left. Go a little bit more, you take a left, there's going to be a hospital there, and then go a little bit more, pass through 2 lights, and you'll see this really funny like statue on this side with a fountain next to it. Just go past that, another block, turn right, and then just keep going straight there. The road will curve a little bit, and then the temple will be right there. So then you're like, so this person could be leading you anywhere, right? You don't know the person, you don't know the town. They could be taking you to drive off the edge of a cliff or something, for all you know. But you're like, okay, whatever. I don't know, and maybe, so you just kind of like, let me just try it. Let me just see how this works. There's nobody else to ask for a second opinion. They're the only person on the street. So you go and you see, okay, there's the traffic light, and then, oh yeah, there's the school that he mentioned. So it looks like we're doing okay. And then you go there, you turn, and the hospital, yeah, you mentioned that was, and then you see the statue, the fountain, and the road starting to curve. So as you go and you're starting to see the landmarks and the things, and okay, it looks like we're following it right, and things are happening, and then you're looking in the distance and you see how the road's curving, and you look ahead and you see, oh, there's the dome of the temple. It looks like you start. So yeah, in Bhakti there are different landmarks and signposts along the way too. So sometimes you might think it's a long way between me, where I am right here, right now, and Goloka and Vrindavan, being in Goloka Vrindavan, serving Krishna in my eternal spiritual form, right? There's like a long way. So you're wondering, how am I going to get there? So the path has been chalked out by gurus and sadhus and Shastra and Krishna, and if we just, and there also some landmarks have been indicated, right? That if you do this for some time, you'll start to notice this about yourself. You'll start to notice your consciousness change in this particular way. You'll start to experience these kind of things happening. You'll start to see your perspective on the world shift in this particular way, right? And it's a science. So, after practicing for a while, we're like, oh yeah, that's actually happening. I'm feeling like a change in my attitudes about things. Oh yeah, I'm noticing my goals, my priorities in life are starting to shift. My perspective on the world is starting to change, exactly like, I read here in Prabhupada's purport, like he said it would, So it's like, it works, it's working. And then so each time you come across, one of these landmarks, then you realize that the process works, and that makes you have a little more faith, and a little more faith. And then you see others, so not just associating with devotees, but like seeing other devotees who have been practicing for like considerable amount of time, and seeing how that you can see these symptoms of advanced devotion in them. And then you're like, wow, they've been following this process for 40 years, and look what an amazing Vaishnava they are. Look at how self-controlled they are. Look at how they get so absorbed in kirtan and japa, and they're not affected by things that disturb me. They're just like fine, like this Brahmin, he wasn't affected by criticisms and things. So you see that it worked on them. If it worked on them, if I just do the same things that they did when they were at my stage, it's going to work on me too, because the process works, right? So there's 3 things: associating with people of faith, just seeing the examples of people for whom the process has worked, and then following it, just kind of like, what did I say? Anyways, just having faith in the process and trying it out, giving it the old try and seeing what happens, and observing the results of our experiment. Yeah. Is that okay?
Like Prabhupada used to say, like the proof is in the tasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I really, this is such a nice, Prabhupada tells this story during one class I was listening to, and Prabhupada shares the story, and it's just, and he describes how the people were really teasing the Brahmana, like, oh, Brahmana, what are you reading? You don't know how to read. Like, they were really like giving him a hard time. And I guess I shouldn't say the rest of the story, but it's just such a sweet pastime. Lord Chaitanya reciprocates with the Brahmana, and he shares, why he's crying, and I was really appreciating in text 96 in the purport when it was describing how that, on the other hand, that literature which is full of descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a different creation, full of transcendental words, directed toward bringing about a revolution in the impious lives of this world's misdirected civilization. And this part really struck me. Such transcendental literatures, even though imperfectly composed, I was, because of the Brahman's imperfectly reading, but he's imperfectly reading something that is perfect. And that part of, even though imperfectly composed, I was like, wow, it's just so encouraging. Like, try to do your best wherever you're at. And you really made that point so clear, that with whatever devotion we can muster up, with whatever faith we have, do our best. And even though we're imperfect, we're going to make mistakes. We have so far to go. But it's just so encouraging that Krishna will see that devotion and accept that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard versions of the story with the Brahmin that he was actually like holding the book upside down. he was that illiterate that it didn't make any difference whether it was this way or that way. But yeah, if you go to this verse, I recommend reading this Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.11 verse and purport. Srila Prabhupada's purport, because Prabhupada picks up on this part about though imperfectly composed, and he's speaking in his so much humility about, I've tried my best to present these books, to present Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'm not a Sanskrit scholar, I'm not, English is my second language basically, and still I've tried to, and I'm dealing with two languages that are not my first language that I don't really know that well. But still, I'm trying my best to present it. I'm doing everything that I can to, read it. I'm studying the commentaries of the previous acharyas to see how they translated certain words and how they commented on them. And I'm putting those together and trying to express it to the best of my ability in a language, in words that people in English-speaking countries can relate to. And he said, but inevitably there are going to be imperfections. Inevitably, my word choices are going to be wrong, or my, grammatical compositions are going to be not very clear. But because I have done this sincerely, because I've done this with a pure intention to help others, and with a pure desire to please the Lord and fulfill the order of my spiritual master, I'm confident that this presentation will be accepted and that it will be impactful in the world. It's like he's so humble, and recognizing his shortcomings, or apparent shortcomings, and at the same time he's very confident. So this is the mood, that we get an instruction from the Guru, we're feeling totally incompetent, we're recognizing our shortcomings, but we're also having total confidence that Krishna will make it all right, and that it will be influential, it will have an impact. My endeavor will not be useless. Yeah, because it's done in devotion, in service. Yes, please.
I was about to ask the question related to that only. I as you know that I'm doing a postdoc and I'm busy in doing research. So there is the just job commitment. Sometimes it comes you have to work very hard. So the small, it's not the small. It's the instruction of Guru of chanting in the morning, all the rounds. Is the standard of ISKCON. Everybody has been instructed to do that. Right. But it's really to finish the day, it's so much of workload. It's really difficult for for people like me to finish even before 12 o'clock at night. So it takes a lot of time to do the experiment and coming and doing all this analysis, and it's very difficult. I don't know how to. And it's not about that. It's I can see that incompetence practically every day, that I'm not able to fulfill my Guru's instruction. So, but at least here the Brahmin, he's trying. He's following the instruction, whether he's reading or not. But I'm not even able to do that because of my conditioning of my my material life, whatever is there. So how it's I'm not I'm incompetent. I don't know. I don't even see any hope that I can I can make it practically. And I don't know how to take this thing and how to be in such a mood, because it's very difficult to balance such kind of demanding job situations.
Yeah, that's a situation that a lot of devotees find themselves in, right? So many things to do, so many responsibilities and obligations and deadlines and things that it's difficult to squeeze those 16 rounds in. Yeah, we have to pray. We have to be like, Krishna, this is my situation. Please do something to help me be able to chant my 16 rounds.
Chanting, I'm able to do, but whenever I'm free. So in my mind, the priority is like I have to finish the job thing. So I can see that this as I'm practicing Bhakti Yoga, my priority should be doing the my spiritual duty. But here I'm in such a dilemma. In my head, like I have to first finish, then you finish your chanting and then go. So it happens like by like 12 o'clock at night, I finish my work and then I start chanting and I go up to 2 o'clock. Then I finish my rounds and I go to sleep.
Wow.
And that, just imagine that quality of
intense.
chanting, how it will be. It will be like, it's bad, right? So morning chanting is obviously the best. So I can see that the priority is going towards work. It's not my devotion.
Yeah.
So,
well, instead of having those 2 hours as the last thing that you do in the day, I mean, in any case, whatever time you do it within the 24-hour period, it's still going to take 2 hours. So instead of having those be the last 2 hours before you go to sleep, just have them be the first 2 hours after you wake up. Anyways, just a suggestion. Yeah. Yeah. Just a suggestion. But I mean, the fact that you're getting your rounds done is a major accomplishment, like, considering your schedule. So I'm sure that Krishna is going to help. He's seeing your sincerity, seeing your determination. It's just a matter of time before he's going to make some